Hello, hello, welcome to my garden. Such a beautiful day, no wind and quite mild. Today I will talk about how I am planting spring bulbs in pots, in containers. I have here some tulip bulbs, but you can also plant daffodils and other spring bulbs in the same way. I'm using a pot here, a clay pot, and this pot is approximately 30 centimeter in diameter, which means around 12 inches. And to a pot in this size, I will normally plant around 20 tulip bulbs. This is a white tulip called spring green, such a lovely variety. And I can tell you that this is a very good quality. You can see they are without spots and they are dry, and yes, I think they're great, and this is a good size. But first of all, I need to have some potting soil and place it here in the pot. And yes, I'm using fresh potting soil here, but you can also use potting soil. Hello, Nero. What are you doing? Hello. Nero is my friend. Yes, you're always around in the garden, and sometimes you play with the bulbs. Yes. Okay. I'm using fresh soil, but you can also use soil in which you have had maybe annuals and other plants in the summer season. But it's quite important, very important, that you don't using potting soil where you have grown tulips before. But now I am almost ready to place the bulbs. You can see the pot here is almost half full. Now I will place the bulbs side by side. I think 20 bulb in a pot like this. Of course you can place fewer bulbs, but I like them to be what you can see quite dense. And yes, you can see here how I place them in the soil. Let's see here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yes, I think 20 will be fine. It's always such a pleasure to plant bulbs because I'm dreaming about spring and what will happen when they start to grow in the early season. And I think that we should take a look, see how it was looking here in May this year. Isn't it amazing? I really love all the spring bulbs in pots. But now I need to cover the bulbs. I will cover them with soil here. And when I have done that, I will water them. But before I water the bulbs, I will talk about the most important secret when it's coming to bulb planting in pots. Because when I have watered them, they need to be covered. They need to be covered until spring. You can place them in a greenhouse. You can place them under a table, in a shed, and you can also cover them with plastic. Because if the pot is not covered, it's quite often happening that the bulbs will just rotten because there will be too much water here. For example, if you have frost, the soil will start to freeze in the bottom, and then when it's raining or when it's snowing, in few weeks the pot will be filled with water, and therefore you need to cover them. But now I will water the soil. When you water, you need to do it properly. You need to really soak the soil, because when you don't water during the winter, the soil really needs to be very wet. Not very wet, because you have, of course, holes in the bottom of the pot, so it will just run away. But you need to water several times. And in the winter, in the winter you don't water, and in the next couple of weeks the roots will just the bulbs will just start to set roots, and then in the early spring you will see the small green tips, and when you see them, you need to start to water again, but first of that time. And here you can see how it was looking in the early spring, where we have uncovered our pots with tulips and just placed them so they could get sun and also a bit of water. And yes, now I am almost ready to cover the pots. But I will also talk a bit about what do we do with the bulbs after flowering. We plant them in the garden because yes, you could reuse them in pots next year, but there will come fewer flowers. So we always do that. That when the green, when the stems and when the foliage have died back, you know, they need to do that, so you will get the energy to the bulbs again. It will take about 6 weeks after flowering, and at that time we dig a hole in the garden, and then we just place the clump in the hole, and next year you will see some of the tulips come back. And in the late summer and in the autumn next year we will plant fresh bulbs. I also need to tell that you don't it's not necessary to feed the bulbs, and I really hope that that you understood this and that you would like to try it. And in the end, I will also tell you about my new book, about containers in the garden, which will be published in March. And you can see the cover here of containers in the garden. And please see the link above in my description. Thank you so much for looking, and I hope that you would like to see a little film more with some of the tulips plantings of the garden.